in Congregation Beth in Missouri City, right next to Sugar Land. You know, in this week's Parsha, we talk about how God gives the final three plagues to the Egyptians. And one of the incredible details that the Torah tells us is that God says, I'm going to go around the houses, and everyone who has these three spots on their doorposts, one on each side and one on top, of blood from the offering of the lamb, will be saved. And the question is, that is the most oddest request in the world. How is it possible that is what God wants? Put blood from your lamb offering on your doorpost. Now, this is prior to having a mezuzah. This is prior to having any other, prior to having any of those commandments. God says, that way I'll know that it's you. Now, of course, we know that God knows that without us having that blood on the on the doorpost, right? So why do we have it? So I'd like to share a thought that I had that possibly this is God telling us to be Jewish. Don't hide it. Don't hide your Jewishness. Be proud of it. Wear it on your sleeve. Don't hide. Don't run away from your own Jewishness. Got a lot of excited people out there on Facebook. They're thumbing up. Guys, you're getting excited. Is that you also? Okay. Yeah. So the idea is like this. There are many Jews who thought over the years, you know what? We need to assimilate with the nations of the world, and we need to hide our Judaism. Nobody should know that we're Jewish. We can't tell anybody that we're Jewish, right? And God is saying that's exactly the opposite. Don't hide. Put it right on your front door. Now, we have to understand that the nations of the world don't like us. They don't like us. The exception is the United States. Even that, sometimes we have questions. But at least 20 minutes before inauguration, right? Where you think that, okay. Either way, so we have so many times throughout the history of the Jewish people where Jews are wanting to hide their identity. Why do the nations of the world hate us? They hate us, we've mentioned this numerous times here at this class. They hate us because they were given the lottery ticket, and they said, you know what? Not going to win anyway. Might as well pass it on. We got it. We won that lottery. We got the Torah. We got the manual for living. We got the manual which tells us how to maximize life, how to maximize pleasure. You look at every other religion is taking from the Jewish people, from the Torah. You tell people, you should love your fellow like yourself. They're like, yeah, that's Christian. No, that's Leviticus. Right? Anything you can bring from any other religion is based in Judaism. So what God is telling us, they're going to hate you regardless. Don't run away from your faith. Don't hide it. Be proud about it. That's why, it's a real pleasure when you travel around the world and you see different homes in different places. But when you're in a Jewish community, you know you're in a Jewish community because you see this mezuzah on the door. And, I once had someone stop at my office when we worked at the office building on Fondren, at 10101 Fondren. That's a little infomercial for my dear friend Eitan Merwis. We had this woman knocks on our door, and she says, do you mind explaining to us what this thing is on the doorpost? I said, oh, don't touch it, it's security. Just like, okay, how do I get one of those? I said, yeah, it's a process, right? But we recognize that when we have a mezuzah on our door, it's more than just having a nice decoration. There should be a parchment inside it. And that parchment declares our relationship with God. It declares our faith in God. And it declares that God is one and only one. And that He takes care of everything in this world. He doesn't need any helpers. Of course, we have to do whatever we are capable of doing. But certainly not to hide it. There's no need for us to hide our Judaism. Even when you had Jews who needed to, you had in Spain. All right, they had to. Right? And sadly, most of those who hid got lost. It's never worked out well for us to hide our Judaism. We want to assimilate. The word assimilation, I'm not talking about intermarriage. I'm talking about assimilation, meaning we're all one. We're all one after all. Right? That's true. We're one as humanity, but we're not one as a Jewish people. The blessing that we say every morning is Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. God chose us from all the nations. It doesn't say He chose us and all the nations. From all the nations He chose us. We're different. You can't run away from it. When we have run away from it, we disappeared. That's when there was intermarriage. And that's when it's all our entire identity got lost. So I think this is an important reminder in this week's Parsha. We put those blood markings on our doorposts to remind us we're not running away from our faith. We're not running away from our connection from God. And we're ready to live every day with that pride, with that joy. With that, my friends on Facebook, we're going to leave you here. And we're going to continue with our regular class. If you want to join us for the regular class, you're welcome to come here 7:30 every Thursday night at Congregation Bethel in Missouri City and have a blast with us. Have a terrific evening. Thank you for joining us. Have a good Shabbos.